There was a creature in this story who hated the way he looked, hated the sound of his own voice, and hated the life he was born into. And by the end of this video, you will realize he was living the one life every other creature on Earth was praying for. Stay until the end, because this isn't just a story, it's a mirror. If you have ever looked at someone else's life and thought, why not me? If you have ever scrolled and scared and quietly wondered why everyone else seems to have the body, the money, the love, the peace that you don't, then you already know the poison I'm talking about. It's called comparison, and it has killed more dreams, more confidence, more joy than failure ever has. Failure teaches you. Comparison just quietly convinces you that you were never enough to begin with. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't kick down your door. It slips in through a screen, through a scroll, through a single glance at someone else's perfect life, and it plants a question in your mind that never fully leaves. Why not me? So let me take you back before the phones, before the filters, before the algorithms that were built to make you feel behind. Back to a tree, a tired old tree in a quiet forest, where a broken-hearted bird once sat crying, utterly convinced that his life was a curse he never deserved. This is his story, but by the time it's over, you'll know it was never really about him. Once upon a time, in a quiet forest, a crow sat alone on a branch. Black as midnight, voice like gravel, feared by no one, loved by no one, wanted by no one. Every morning, he watched the other birds greet the sunrise with songs, and every morning he stayed silent because he believed his voice was too broken to be worth hearing. Every time he landed near people, they waved him away like a bad omen. Not one kind word, not one gentle glance, just rejection, over and over, until rejection became the only language he understood. His tears rolled down his face, and one single tear fell and landed on the cheek of a monk resting beneath the tree. The monk looked up. He saw the crow shaking, sobbing, breaking apart in silence. "Why are you crying?" the monk asked. And the crow, voice trembling, said the words that so many of us have whispered to ourselves in the dark. "No one loves me. People chase me away. I have nothing. I am worth nothing. Death would be kinder than this life." The monk's heart broke. Not because the crow was ugly, not because the crow was poor, but because the crow could not see what he already had. The monk said something extraordinary. "I can change you. Tell me what you want to become, and with my mantra, I will make it real." The crow's eyes lit up. Hope, real hope for the first time in his miserable life. "Make me a swan," he begged. "The swan is white, the swan is graceful, the swan is loved." But the monk, wise beyond his years, said, "Before I grant this wish, go and ask the swan if he is truly happy. Then come back to me." And so the crow's journey began, a journey that would take him further from misery and closer to truth than he ever imagined. The crow flew to the pond, where the swan glided like poetry on water. "You are perfect," the crow said, "white as milk, loved by everyone. You must be the happiest bird alive." The swan turned and sighed. "I am not happy, friend. I have no color. The world is full of beauty I will never wear. I think the parrot is the happiest bird alive." The crow froze. Even the swan, the creature he envied, was drowning in his own comparison. Undeterred, the crow flew to find the parrot, vibrant, colorful, admired by all who saw him. "You have every color of the rainbow," the crow said. "Surely you are the happiest." But the parrot's eyes darkened. "Happiest? I live in fear. Because I am beautiful, men trap me in cages. My whole life I am afraid of losing my freedom. I think the peacock, with his glory, must know real happiness." The crow's wings grew heavy. Something inside him was shifting, a truth too big to ignore. Finally, the crow found the peacock, inside a zoo, behind iron bars, surrounded by thousands of admirers snapping pictures of his glory. "Look at you," the crow whispered. "Thousands come just to see your beauty. You must be the happiest soul on this earth." The peacock lowered his crown of feathers and said the words that would change everything. "My beauty is my prison. They tear my feathers from my body to sell my glory as decoration. I bleed for the applause you envy. I am not happy, crow. In fact, I have been watching you. No cage holds you. No one hunts you for your feathers. You are the only free bird I have ever seen." The crow flew back to the monk in silence. And when he arrived, he did not ask to become a swan. He did not ask to become a parrot or a peacock. He looked at the monk and for the first time in his life said, "I don't want to be anything else. I want to be exactly who I am." Now let this sink into your bones. How many times have you looked at someone's highlight reel and called it their whole life? How many times have you envied a stranger's body, their bank account, their relationship, their perfect career, without knowing the war they're fighting behind closed doors? The swan envies color. The parrot envies freedom. The peacock envies invisibility. Everyone you have ever envied is envying someone else. This is the trap. Comparison is a hallway of mirrors with no exit, because there will always be someone who appears to have more. More money, more beauty, more followers, more peace. And if your happiness depends on being more than someone else, you have sentenced yourself to a life sentence of never enough. Here is the shift that changes everything. Stop asking, "What do they have that I don't?" and start asking, "What do I have that I have never truly appreciated?" You have a voice, even if it's not the loudest. You have a body, even if it's not the one on your screen. You have a life, even if it's not the one you scripted. Freedom isn't found in becoming someone else. Freedom is found the moment you stop auditioning for a life that was never meant to be yours. The crow was free the entire time. He just couldn't see it because he was too busy staring at cages he mistook for thrones. Think about that for a moment. The very thing he wanted to escape, his own skin, his own story, was the one thing every other creature in that forest was quietly praying for. The swan wanted color, the parrot wanted safety, the peacock wanted to disappear into the crowd instead of being torn apart by it. And the crow? The crow could fly anywhere, land anywhere, live without a cage, without a hunter, without a single chain on his wings, and he called that a curse. How many of us are doing the exact same thing right now? Cursing our own freedom because it doesn't look like someone else's fame. Cursing our own quiet life because it doesn't look like someone else's spotlight. Cursing our own income because it doesn't look like someone else's highlight reel. We are so busy grieving the cage we think we're in that we never notice we were never in one at all. So today, I need you to ask yourself honestly, whose life have you been secretly wishing was yours? And what would happen if you stopped chasing their wings and started using your own? Because somewhere, right now, someone is looking at your life, your freedom, your simplicity, your resilience, and silently wishing they had what you have. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not the crow of your story. You are exactly who you were built to be. And the moment you accept that, you become unstoppable. If this story hit you the way it hit me, don't just watch it and forget it. Hit subscribe, because this channel exists to remind you of your worth every time the world tries to make you forget it. Like this video if you're done comparing your life to someone else's highlight reel. Share this with the one person who needs to hear this today, because somewhere, right now, someone is crying on their own branch, wishing they were anyone but themselves. And turn on notifications, because the next story I tell might be the one that finally sets you free. You were never meant to be a swan. You were never meant to be a peacock. You were built to be exactly who you are. Now go and fly like it.